thanks for coming. We'll make this brief. We've got a press release put together for you. We also have some video on the screen that's put together for you. But what we're here to talk about is the fact that our detectives have uncovered a multi-state pill trafficking operation. They've arrested thus far one major drug trafficker, and they've removed thousands of prescription pills that were illegal from the streets of Collier County and throughout the southeast. On the 16th of August, detectives made an arrest of a gentleman by the name of David Deli on multi-felony trafficking and possession charges. But that was really only the beginning, because they went from there to obtain a search warrant and seize more than 16,000 prescription pills. They are valued at approximately $200,000 on the street. This is the largest single pill seizure in Collier County's history. We are very serious and have been for years about removing pills from the streets of Collier County, and we want to make it very clear again to those who want to engage in it that we will find you and we will arrest you. Mr. Deli is currently in the Collier County Jail on $910,000 in bond. So far, the investigation shows the trafficking operation spanned throughout the southeast United States, including Florida. Due to the number of pills that were seized the other day and the MO that Mr. Deli used, and I'm going to get into that in a second, we believe we could be looking at upwards of 100 people involved throughout the southeast. We received information over an extended period of time that Mr. Deli was selling narcotics. We set up our own buy, and we purchased 20 grams of roxycodone. And where that usually ends an operation, that was really the beginning of demonstrating what investigators had believed previous. Search warrants were issued for Mr. Deli's residences, and 16,332 pills, mostly opiates, were the first things to be seized. Out of that, for some basic information, about just under 5,000 were Dilaudid. That's an opiate-based drug. That alone has the potential, if he's found guilty, for a minimum mandatory 25-year sentence. We also had Xanax and other controlled substances. The important part of where the investigation went next, and which has been ongoing over the last 5 days, was that there was a gun that was found, more importantly financial records and ledgers identifying additional persons who were involved in the trafficking activity and operation. So you can see that we're going to be working on this for some time yet. The investigation is currently ongoing, both here and in other parts of the country. We expect federal indictments in the months to come, and also some state and local conspiracy charges. We're also finding some information that leads us to believe that there may be policy and administrative violations that we would look at. If you look at and remember the laws that have been put in place with the prescription monitoring system, how that operates, we're going to be looking at that. And one additional thing that you've heard a little bit about recently, we believe there has the potential to be some Medicare fraud cases involved as well, because of how the operation was established. With that, we'll continue to keep you updated as we move forward. It's a little unique because we're starting at the top end instead of the bottom end. That does a lot of things much more quickly than we would normally have had to have done them. It also frees up the opportunity to track back persons involved in the operation, and with the leader in jail, it gives people an opportunity to be more open with law enforcement and to prepare a case for the future. So with that, that's pretty much what we have today. I've got Captain Harold Minch here with us in case you have some specific questions that we can get into. Unfortunately, we would ask you that a lot of it's still under investigation, and we need to cooperate and coordinate with other states, other jurisdictions, and look at where we go to make the remainder of the cases. But we'll try and answer for you what we can. If I can't, the captain will come up and we'll do that.
If you'd like to, again, touch on how important, you say up to or over 100 people could be involved with this. Cutting off the alleged leader of this drug ring, how important is that?
Very important, because he's the one that coordinated the entire operation. He was instrumental in directing, participating, selling, purchasing. So with that removed, we don't see a structure underneath where he was to continue the operation.
Could you lay out the timeline again of how long you've been investigating him and how the events have played out?
Well, over an extended period of time, right now that's the pre-investigation part, which we're not going to get into, led up to an arrest on Friday. It was a simple arrest for possession, but from that came search warrants, the seizure of pills, more importantly, the ledgers, the financial documents, and other information that has led to the ability for us to tell you how widespread the operation was.
Did this suspect call Southwest Florida, call Naples home, and if so, how long has he been living here?
Yes, he does call Naples home. He's a Golden Gate resident, and he has been here for years.
For years, okay.
And this had started when you guys went undercover and tried to purchase some of these pills?
Yes.
Could you describe what taking 16,000 pills would do as far as, you know, the impact that would have on the local illegal drug market?
That's a very good question, because I was going to mention that. We believe that thousands of pills were destined for Collier County streets out of this number of pills. When you take off thousands of pills off the streets, there will be a lot of people looking for drugs to support their habits, and that is going to cause a significant positive problem, because they will not be available, but it will also pose some negative problems. And we anticipate that we will find people in need of emergency treatment. We're notifying and have notified our staff that if you run into people in need of that, you know, they need to go to the hospital. We're looking at talking to the hospitals and prepping them, because it is a lot of drugs that will be missing for the next couple of weeks.
You mentioned there could be some Medicare fraud cases connected to this person. It also says that you believe he hired people to get these drugs from doctors and other physicians like that. Do you believe at this point that any of these doctors or physicians or other medical people were in on it?
That's what I think we're going to find out. You know, as I've told you before, by and large, the majority of doctors are forthright. We have some pill mills and some physicians who are in it to make money, and I believe the investigation will demonstrate who was there to make money. More importantly, who was violating the law in distributing the prescriptions and the pills.
Some of these doctors that could be at fault here, are any of them currently facing charges?
I do not know that.
You mentioned this is the largest bust in Collier County history. What comes even close to it?
The previous one was probably 4,000 pills, so it's a pretty significant increase from that.
Does this alarm you at all as the sheriff of Collier County that so many pills were traveling the streets here in the county?
Oh, absolutely. You know, because we have made a commitment along with the governor and the state attorney general to put pressure on the sale of prescription drugs illegally. And we've been working together together with them over the last year and have made absolutely terrific strides throughout the state of Florida. And what happens is, when you put in the regulation, like we have with the prescription monitoring, and you put out the task forces, you push individuals like this to get into business on the black market. So now we're as I also mentioned before, we're looking at now going back to not only the illicit prescription drug trade, but what we have always considered to be illegal or illicit drugs, the heroin, the marijuana, the other types of things, the crack cocaine, because we've put so much pressure on pills.
Was there a name for this drug ring? Did they go by anything, or?
Not that we've uncovered at this point.
How much of a problem, or how big of a problem do you see prescription drugs, you know, specifically in Collier County? Statewide, it's a problem, but.
I think we're a heck of a lot better off than we were a year or 2 years ago, because we now can track where we couldn't have tracked before. It's much harder to maneuver the sales of pills today through pill mills. Again, black market, we have always, will always, and will continue to be in the forefront of removing illegal drugs from the streets of Collier County.
The person arrested, was his sole job selling these drugs, or did he pass with another job during the daytime?
No, this is what you could call organized criminal behavior and activity. This was his job.
And it's just been the one arrest so far, right?
One arrest so far.
I think you mentioned this already, but at this point, do you know about how many other people could be here in Collier County right now that could be this guy's right-hand mans, if you will, or anyone that's very close to this person that was arrested?
We know that there are other people that are participating throughout the region here. However, we're not going to get into that because it's currently under investigation.
Does he have any priors?
I believe he does. Captain, are you aware if he's got anything?
Yeah, he has very few, nothing along this magnitude, and I don't believe the others were drug related. He's lived here his whole life. He went to high school.
Yeah. We can get you the information on his priors.
You know, based on all these, all this here, 100 people. I mean, largest seizure in Collier County. How long does this continue on, this investigation? Do you anticipate?
We will continue until we are able to link everyone we can and take them to trial and put them in jail.